9, 10. If you can't go as high as Nell is doing, you can just go near, still the same. Bado ni sawa. 3, 2, and 1. Good job. Get on to the mat. We're doing 10 burpees, okay? Just 10 burpees. Kickstart the morning. Ensure that you're warm. These are 3. Go on your pace. Kama utafanya 5 ni sawa. If you can do 15 or 20, it's fine. Remember, if you just join us, get your 2 liter, 3 liter, or 5 liter bottle with you. But I think 5 liter might be too heavy. But anyway, just get a 2 liter, 3 liter bottle. Keep it next to you. You're going to need it at some point, okay? How many to go, Nelly? Good job. Now, the first workout we're doing today, we're working on our upper back. We're going to be squeezing our lats, okay? So we're doing the reverse snow angels. So we'll be clapping forward and you clapping backwards, but you umelala chini kwa floor. Nelly will demonstrate the first one. Nelly demonstrate. Fungua mikono widely. So tuna clap mbele, mikono i-clap mbele, alafu i-clap nyuma, chini on the floor, okay? Then you good?
Yes.
Clap down, then backwards, down. Clap forward 1, then down. Are we good? So we're doing that only 20 reps. Up and down is 1, up and down is 2. So give me some speed and we enjoy the session. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, push it, 7, 8, just clap, 9, and back, 10, 10 more, 1, 2, 3, push it, 4, those are 5 countdown to go, 4 to go, plus 3, 2 to go, and to the last one. Good job. Perfect. From there, we're doing something we call a seal push-up. Okay, now for the seal push-up, from your waistline, body na baki chini kwa floor. So the only thing that we're lifting off the ground, we're basically doing a push-up, so the only thing that is coming off the mat is from your belly going up, okay? Belly, show us one demo. You good?
Yes.
Good. Up, that's what we're looking for. Then you go down, okay? Then up again. Then you go down. So we're doing 20. Are you ready, Nelly?
Yes, I'm ready.
Are you ready? Can we start? Good, let's go. 1. Down. 2. Good job. 3. Go on your pace. Down. Give me 4. Good. Give me 5. Let's go for 6. We're on 7. To the left, to the left, to the left. We're on 8. We're on 9. We're on 10. 10 more counts to go. Let's go 1. Let's go 2. Good. Let's go 3. Let's go 4. Try push your elbows backwards. Let's go 5. Push your elbows backwards. Let's go 6. Good. Let's go 7. 3 more. Let's go 8. 2 more counts. Up and to the last count. Good. Now from there to India, something we call the pull back. So for the pull back, we're doing it stationary. So you're going to be almost on a lunge position, apple. Then all you're doing is just pushing your hands backwards. There. Okay? So we're doing 20 on each leg. We start whichever leg, it's okay. Lunge, try lunge, try not lunging. There. We good? When we start, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, give me some power, 5, push it back, 6, 7, it's still upper back, still squeezing those lats, 9, right? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Change the legs. going to give, just get some more intensity with the high reps. Let's go 1, 2, 3, land the leg, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, push it, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, the left, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 20. Good job. From there to India, body weight back to India, let's pull it down. Okay? Nearly, you're gonna face the car. So we're here on a squat hold. So you're going on a squat position, you give me a hold, then you pull up. That pull, okay? Widen the arms. You should be able to feel your upper back, okay? Engage your upper back. Remember, there's a difference between the lat pull and the shoulder press. So make sure that it's wide. Usilete karibu sana hapa. Usifanye hivi straight. Make it wide, out widely, and bring it out. Okay? Wide, out. Good job. You ready? Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, those are 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 20. Good job. From there to India, the lower back. So we're first doing our deadlift. For the deadlift, you can do it without the weight. Or if you've already accessed your water bottles, we're going to use the water bottles for the deadlift. Nelly, okay? Okay? We have so many deadlifts. You can do the Romanian deadlift, you can do the stiff-legged deadlift, you can do the conventional deadlift, depending on how or which one you're more comfortable with, and depending also on your fitness level, also in terms of the weight. So whichever deadlift you feel much more comfortable to do, if you have an injury or not, let's start with the deadlift, okay? As we do the conventional deadlift, easy on the knees, push your bum out, chin up, take the weight down, come up, squeeze the lats, squeeze the glutes, sorry. We good? Let's go 1. We're doing 20 reps. 2, let's go. 3, good job. 4, come up, squeeze in the glutes, then go back down. 5, go on your pace. 6, good. 7, if you only have one water bottle, okay, you can still be able to do the same workout. Just hold the water bottle with both hands, the nose and the mouth of the bottle, then just go down, okay? Up. Still doable with one bottle. You don't have to have 2 bottles to do the workout. If you have a 5 liter that is actually more heavier than the 2 liter or the 3 liter, you can use it to still perform the workout. 6 to go. Good. 5 left. 20, 4 to go. Last 3. 2 more counts. On to the last count. And it's a wrap. Good job. Place it down. From there, relax. We're still using the same water bottles. We're doing the bent over row, okay? So for the bent over row, I want you to push your bum out. Bend over apple, okay? Then now the workout, ensure that your elbows are going out. Inject backwards, back. Don't swing. Most of us, you get the rhythm and you start moving up and down. Don't swing. So you just static there and you're pulling it up. Okay, all right? Maybe you good? Are you ready to start? Hope you've got in the posture. Bend over, then pull it. You good? Let's go 1. 1. Doing for 20. 2. Don't swing. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 1, 2. If you have a barbell bar, it's the same. For 2 upper, for upper chini, pulling in with the barbell bar. If you have any weights in the house that you can use with the barbell bar for upper, okay, you can do the reverse, or you can do the under grip, or you can do just the normal one. Just hold it. Twende kazi. You done? Good stuff. From bent over row tunaingia the Superman. Tunaingia the Superman sasa. Still same. Up. Now I want you to engage because we're doing a lot on the back. I want you to engage using your arms. So mikono zako ziko mbele straight. You bring them down. And you take it up. Okay, Nelly?
Yes.
Let's go. Demonstrate one for me. Let's go. Start. 1. Try to push the hands forward, kabisa. Up or yes. Then come up. 2. That's what I'm looking for. Let's go. 3. Good stuff. Let's go. 4. So mkono mbele straight then. Squeeze it at the back. 5. Good. 6. 20 reps peke yake. 7. 8. Tuendelee. 9. 10. 10 to go. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. These are 9. Last count. Let's go. 10. Good job. Relax. Mama. No. Stay on the mat. Stay on your mat. Kneel down. Hapo tu video kneel. Relax hapo for 10 seconds. From there tunaingia the bird dogs. Okay? So the bird dog movement, I want your elbows to come as low as they can in. Guzana na goti. Then you stretch it back out. Okay, Nelly?
Yes.
The bird dog. You ready? Demonstrate one for us first. Catch your breath. Relax, Nelly. Relax. Let's catch our breath. Kidogo, relax. Yeah, here, pumua, relax. Are you okay?
I'm trying.
You sure? I hope you've enjoyed the workout as well, eh?
Oh, yes.
Good. So now, are you ready, Nelly? Can we start? Perfect. Can we proceed, please? Good job. Let's go. So, yeah, push the hand straight. Push the hand out straight. Then come in, elbow to knee, then back straight. Okay? That's what we're doing. 15 on each leg. Are you okay, Nelly? Turn the hands. 1. Balance. Make sure you get to balance yourself. Usianguke chini tafadhali. 2. Those are 3.
3.
4. Over left. 5. 10 counts to go. 10. 9. Let's go. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. Push it. 3. Good job. 2. And to the last one. And 1. Good. Now change. Then the other side. Same. Balance. Easy. Una rush. Take your time. Balance the movement. Feel the workout. Okay? We're not doing the workout to finish. We're doing it for quality purposes. Okay? It's about the value. Good. How many?
7.
These are 8. These are 9. To the left. These are 10. We're halfway. 10 to go. 9 to go. 8. 7. 6. Push it. 5. 4. Good job. 3. 2. And 1. Relax. Normal, Nelly. Let's relax kidogo. We're done with the first set. We're hitting in the second set. Same routine. Same pace. I hope you're starting to enjoy it. I hope your back is starting to feel some change kidogo. Remember, you can access this workout on Facebook, NTV page. Download it. Do it at the comfort of your house when you have more time. A minimum of 4 to 5 sets. Can we start? How are you feeling with your back? Eh? So, get the workout on Facebook, download it, play it back at home at the convenience of your time when you're available. Do it with your family, do it with your friends. Get as much psych as possible and ensure that you strengthen that back. So we're starting back again with the reverse no hinges, clapping forward and clapping backward. Okay? Onto the floor. 20 reps. Are we good? Ready? Let's go. Give me some pace. 1, 2, 3. This one we're targeting our upper back, we're targeting those lats. So squeeze them. Okay? Those are 5, 6, the 7, Those are 8. Push it. Those are 9. That's 10. That's 1. 9 to go. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. Let's go. 5. I know where. Let's go. 6. Push it. 7. 8. 2 more. And 9. Last one. Hey, let's go. 10. Perfect. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. From there to then get the seal push-ups. Okay. If you just joined us, the only part that is moving up is only from your belly only going up. The rest remains down on the floor. Belly, you ready?
Yes.
And we start. 20 reps. Let's go. Try and make sure that your elbows are pushing backwards. Ensure that your elbows are protruding backwards. This is talking na inje, zirudi na nyuma. Alright? Tunaendelea. Come up. Straighten the elbow. Yes, you go. Hapo. Perfect. How many of those?
4.
5. You can do it. You can do it. 6. Let's go. Let's go. 7. Push yourself. 8. 9. Those are 10. We are halfway. 10 more count. 10 more count. 1. 2. If Nelly is a bit slower for you, you can do more reps. There's no harm in you doing more reps, okay? If still you're struggling more than Nelly, you can still do 10 reps. At the end of the day, it's progress, okay? So your own progress, pole, that's how we build up the strength. 7? 3 more, 3 more. Good. 2 more counts. Good stuff. Then to the last one. And the wrap. From there, try and get a pull back. Okay? So remember, if you've joined us, or if kamu umesahau, we're doing it from a lunge position. I want you to take your knee down. Okay? It doesn't have to go the way down. Just bend the knee a little bit backward. Down. Then pull back. Up. Shirini on each leg. Okay? Then you ready to start? Are you ready? Can we start? Then it's good?
Yeah, I'm good.
You good?
Yes.
Alright, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't swing. Don't swing. You see swing. 5. Take the knee down a bit. See apple. That's okay. Apple. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1. Give me some power. 2. As you push it back, give me some power. 8, 9, and 10. Change the legs. Good. Down the side. Same. You good? Yes. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Turn the leg. 4, 5. 4. When you're going to move the mingu kwa back, that's what we are attacking, eh? Mafuta mingi huku hii area yote kutoka kwa mgongo, matayana na nini. There is back. Back. Upper and lower back. Turn the leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. Relax. From there to India, the lat pull down again. Relax. Become on it. Breathe for a few seconds. Breathe. Relax. Asikuwa kama anaenda sana. Space printer. How are you feeling? Breathe. Relax. Change up your shoulders. Shrug your shoulders hapo. Unafahamu mgongo alafu unakunya hapo alafu una relax. Okay. How are you feeling? Can we proceed? Good. Nelly, are you okay? 10 more seconds for you?
No, okay.
You sure?
Yes, I'm okay.
Are you okay? Can we proceed? Lat pull down, no weight, your own body weight, okay? You good?
Yes, squat position.
Now, perfect, then you go up. 1, 2. You're doing it on a squat hold, eh? 3, 4, 6, 4. In the chin, sit a little easier. And then up. Just in what we do, straight up. Evil. Straight up. Turn the left. How many of those? 8, 9. Is that 10? 10 down count. 9. Let's go. 8. Push it. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good job. Relax. From there, we get deadlift once more. Deadlift, we're using our bottles here. Okay? Depending on which deadlift you know better. Could be the conventional deadlift, could be the Romanian deadlift, could be the stiff leg deadlift. Yenye uko poa nayo ndio unafanya. Sawa sawa? Then you good? If you have some weights in the house, if you have a barbell bar, Olympic barbell bar, you can put in the plates. You go for it. Go hard for it, okay? Depending on what you have, utilize what you have accessible to you. You good? 20 reps. Peke yake for deadlift. Let's go on. 2, 3, good. 4, 5. Take your time. Hakuna mbio, hakuna mtu tunabishana na yeye. It's on your own pace. Okay? If you feel to join late, if you just join us, access the same workout. We go online, Facebook. You will get it there. Follow us, NTV page, Emperor Fitness. Access all these workouts, download them, do them at the comfort of your house. When you have your friends there, kwa mzee hapo, mabibi hapo, watoto hapo, nyinyi wote shangilieni maneno, sawa sawa? Let's strengthen our bodies. Let's go. 5 to go. 4 to go. 3, 2, on to the last one. Good job. Boxes hapo tu chini. Relax kidogo. From there tunaingia the bench over row. Okay? Relax. So now tumetoka lower back, tunaingia upper back. You okay? Relax, relax. It's okay. It's okay. Take some few seconds. Just breathe. Relax. Give your body that much needed oxygen. Breathe. Breathe. To all the diehards, thank you so much for always following us. NTV, we are grateful, okay? For those who have just joined us, karibu on board. I hope you're enjoying the session. And we'll takushukuru later. We good? We start with the bench overall. 20 reps. That's our target for today. Let's go. 1. Remember, don't swing your body too. If you swing really, as much as you may get comfortable with the motion or with the movement and the rhythm of the workout, if you swing, remain stiff. 1, 2, 3, good job. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good job. From there, we get Superman. Then we finish off with a bad dog. How are you feeling? What's your back saying? It's feeling the pressure. Starting to ache, eh?
Yeah.
Are we good? We go for the Superman, 20 reps. From the Superman, we can get the bad dog, 20 reps. And we can do a good stretch after that, okay? We good? Let's go. 1, good. Straighten the hands and pull it back. Let's go. 2, good. 3, to the left, on your pace. 4, 5, good job, Nelly. 6, 7, 8, 9. These are 10. 10 to go. 10 more to go. 10. Let's go. These are 9. 8. There, let's go. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 2. 1. Good job. Breathe. Relax. 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 How are you feeling? Nelly hapa ni kama anataka kuniacha. So I hope you are way much better off than Nelly, eh? Good stuff. So from there to get the bad dog. Relax. I'm giving you 30 seconds to breathe. Relax. Relax. Just tell me what we're doing next. So our next workout, we're doing the bad dog. Same motion. Elbow to knee. There, you straighten it out. Okay. there, and you straighten it out. In, you straighten it out. Okay, it's easy motion, eh? Back dogs are very good there for your lower back, for your abs, and also for your glutes. Okay, so hit 3 places at once. Are you ready? We good?
Yeah.
Can we start? Can we proceed? We proceed? Good job. Let's go 1, 2, 15, 15. 15 on each leg. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Push it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the left. 6.
I thought you said 15.
Oh yeah, we got 15. Ollie, sometimes I get carried away from the workout. Yes, 15. My apologies for that. I got carried away with the workout. The motion was so right, so perfect. I just didn't want to stop her. Good job. Let's go balance the other side. 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From the left. 8. Good job. 9, 10, 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good job. We're done with our workout for today. I hope you enjoyed the session. Ensure you get this workout from NTV page or Emperor Fitness page. You'll get us. Download the workout at the comfort of your house when time is more convenient for you. Do the whole workout at least a minimum of 4 sets. Okay, so then you stretch, then it's a wrap. Let's start easy. Shoulder shrugs. 4. Good. Backwards. Good. Twist your neck round. Twist the neck. Usifunge macho. Just twist the neck round. Good. The other side. Balance the other side. From there, let's twist our waistline here. Good. Good. The other side. Good. Good. From there, tunaachilia mikono from up, down. Tuendelee. 5 more. Good. My high school teacher used to call it korifarifa. So yeah, so rifarifa. So 3 more to the left, 2 more, and last one. Good job. Breathe in, breathe out. Let's go, Nelly. Breathe in.
Greetings, East Africa, and welcome to your world on this past Monday of July 2020. Now, someone mentioned to me the other day that if there is a time we should all have mental wellness at the top of our Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's now. Why? Well, in the midst of all the uncertainty that the coronavirus pandemic has brought, our mental health has surely been greatly challenged. Now, with many facing the new reality of mental illness and making a bad situation worse for those with lived experience. Today, we hear from those who walk in these shoes as we take stock of our mental health and wellness. My name is Gladys Gashanje, and this is what else you can expect. Coping with stress in a healthy way will make you, the people you care about, and your community stronger. Today we delve into raw realities of mental illness.
Losing a job is one of the most stressful experiences that people go through in their lifetime.
Whether you've been laid off, downsized, forced to take early retirement, or seen contract work dry up, losing your employment is one of life's most stressful experiences. Aside from the obvious financial anguish it can cause, the stress of losing a job can also take a heavy toll on your mental health.
The time was very nervous. It was a nervous time for everybody.
Asylum seekers staying in refugee accommodation in Glasgow were complaining of severe depression and suicidal thoughts, according to human rights activists. Now, it is a scene repeated the world over. Pedestrians glued to their phones while walking, causing collisions and sometimes accident. No more, says one Japanese city. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast. As I had alluded earlier on, today we take stock of our mental health, especially during this pandemic. And our question of the day to you is, how has the pandemic challenged your mental health? And how are you safeguarding your mental wellness? Well, you can share your opinions and, of course, your experiences on that hashtag New Normal on any of the social media spaces. And you can also give us a call or text us on that number at the bottom of your screen. And speaking of the pandemic, let's look at how it has affected the world over in terms of numbers. And globally, so far, that number stands at 11,556,681 people confirmed to have COVID-19. Thankfully, those who have recovered from this are 6,535,492, and unfortunately, we have lost 536,776 people to COVID-19. Now, a closer look home, and the numbers in Kenya stand at 7,886 confirmed cases of COVID-19. 2,287 people have recovered from the same, and unfortunately so far we have lost 160 Kenyans to COVID-19. Those numbers will be coming to you as and when we get them, even as they are updated worldwide. Now let's look at some of the stories making headlines even as we face this pandemic as a globe. Now, hundreds of elephants have mysteriously died in Botswana's famed Okavango Delta. The landlocked South African country has the world's largest elephant population, estimated to be around 130,000. Similar deaths were first reported in May when authorities found 12 carcasses in just a week in 2 villages in the northwest of the country.
The team has already collected a number of samples that have been assessed both locally in some labs and also some being shipped to laboratories in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and in Canada. We think at this juncture is not poaching because all the carcasses that have been identified are identified intact with ivory, and there is no ivory missing, and clearly that suggests that whatever the mortality might not be having the intention of really harvesting ivory from these.
Now, elsewhere, doctors and administrators at Argentina's Alberto Unequian Hospital in Ezeiza, just south of capital Buenos Aires, expressed frustration and worry over the area's recent spike in coronavirus cases, which they say could result in a system collapse if the situation doesn't improve under the new imposed lockdown.
¿Comiste bien?
Comí bien, porque ahí me hincharon.
¿Te sacaron líquido?
Sí.
"24-year-old Ugandan Hilary Nuwamanya rides his bike around the wider Kampala area, saving lives by delivering antiretroviral drugs to HIV-positive Ugandans during the COVID-19 lockdown.
I personally, I chose to be delivering medicines to other people. So since you understand, before it was strict, no transport, not public transport, and I had a bike and I had a passion to do my work. So I decided to, you know what, let me use the available resources so that I can save people's lives. Yeah, but I started by walking. I didn't have a bike. My first day was inspired by a mom who had just given birth, and she was living on ARVs. Her life was depending on ARVs. So I had to food from home. I got up from home at 6, then went to Mount May, picked medicines of other people also who wanted to be delivered to. Then I started dispensing medicines within Kampala region. Started by footing, as I told you earlier. Then on my posts, someone saw and lent me a bike. After lending me a bike, I kept on lobbying for one, so I could stop lending and still save my savings. So good enough, I friend saw my posts and I kept in touch with them. They decided to buy me the bike, so I now own the bike.
It was through that a friend of mine on social media sent me Hilary's number. I was able to call him, and since then he has been able to deliver for me medication 3 times since the lockdown started. If it had not been for them, I think I would have been off medication for 3 months.
For 28 days. How does it go? 28, 31.
Very encouraging. Now, here is a situation that a lot of people might relate to. Being forced to move from one social class to another is bound to take a toll on anyone's mental health. Chad has closed universities and schools, places of worship, and some businesses to halt the spread of the coronavirus. But even though its measures have been less strict than neighboring countries, the commercial class struggles to make ends meet. According to Gali, a restaurant owner says, if everyone can respect the barrier measures in relation to the space we are in, it might just work. Many small businesses have closed because of COVID-19. Some businesses are holding on as they have dependents and employees who also have families. And still on our mental health, Wairimo Gitonga shares with us how her 21-year-old daughter was diagnosed with clinical depression at the age of 18 and how even her own teachers did not recognize the illness.
My daughter, I think she started getting sick when she was about 14. Sometimes she'd go to school and she wouldn't be able to concentrate. And what happens when the mental illness is not acknowledged and treated, it comes out as psychosomatic illnesses. So she'd have headaches, she'd have stomach aches. She used to cut her arms, and I didn't realize it when it was actually happening that she was doing it. I just saw the scars later, but we're able to talk about it, and it is basically just a coping mechanism for whatever pain or whatever things she's feeling inside her. And so she would go for therapy, and it really helped because she'd be able to talk about the things that are on her mind. There was a season when there was a teacher in school who was basically bullying her. So in fact, for that season, I actually pulled her out of school until we were able to resolve the issue with the administration. Another season that she went into a very, very, very deep depression is when her biological father passed on. It really, really affected her. But I like the fact that she's able to talk. We have built a very good relationship over time. There are days when she almost goes to 2 or 3 days without eating a proper meal. There are times when maybe you're supposed to be doing something with her and she's snapping at you. Sometimes it's anger, an unreasonable amount of anger. However, within the wider family, there has also been a little bit of a lack of understanding. Like now at 20, she still hasn't gone to college because we are still trying to figure out what's the best way for her to do it. And you find that people are like, you know, by now she should be in her second year, and yet we're dealing with different challenges from your average 20-year-old. And what I can also tell other parents is that you need to take your children seriously. If your child says they're being bullied in school, look into it. If your child tries to talk to you about something, don't dismiss it.
Werimo Gitonga's story about her daughter who was diagnosed with clinical depression is one that resonates with very many people, especially those with lived experience, but even those with a new experience in this. Just not being able to know what those symptoms are is something that most people actually struggle with. So today we shed light on mental health and of course how we have been challenged during this pandemic. And to help us have that conversation, I am joined by Dr. Catherine Mutisia. She is a psychiatrist. She joins us virtually. In studio, I have Edwin Mboro, who is a mental health advocate. He has lived experience with severe ADHD, anxiety, depression, and is a recovering alcoholic. I'm also joined by Kieri Kimani, who is also a mental health advocate and has lived experience with mental illness, bipolar, depression, and ADHD. Also, in studio, we have Judy Kariuki, who is a project officer, mental health and well-being at Basic Needs Kenya. And also virtually, we are joined by Waremi Karingi, who is a mental health advocate who has lived experience with anxiety disorder, depression, bipolar type 2, and she will be giving us her experience like everybody else. Thank you all for joining us on this one. I'll start with you, Daktari, and at this point for us, it will be important to define what exactly mental illness is.
Much Gladys, when we talk about mental health, we want to see whether the person we are referring to can be able to deal with the adversities in life. They are able to cope with life to the point where they are able to contribute to the community. And basically, we look at how somebody feels, how somebody thinks, and how somebody behaves. So we say good mental health is not just absence of mental illness. We need people to be able to realize their potential and to adjust to everyday stressors.
Okay, and when you talk about stresses, maybe you can mention some of the triggers that would actually now bring to forth mental illness.
Yes, the triggers could be physical, like if you have a physical illness or an injury. The triggers could be psychological, like when we are faced with a situation like this epidemic, where we have no control over what is going to happen next. Mm-hmm. Nobody seems to know when this is going to be over. I know many Kenyans are waiting for the president to speak today. Yeah. They do not know whether the lockdown will be opened, whether the curfew will be released. And so psychologically, when you have situations where you feel like you're not in control, mm-hmm. that could be a stress. And socially, in terms of the environment also, the environment you are living in. Mm-hmm. And now financially, we are seeing many people get salary cuts. We are seeing people lose businesses. We are seeing people lose their employment. So all those stressors could actually push one to either anxiety or depression. But of course, not everybody who faces them gets to progress to distress or anxiety or depression. Maybe one could be genetically predisposed, or maybe somebody could have had other traumas in the past.
Okay, and what are the basic signs and symptoms we should look out for?
When it comes to anxiety, which is very common, when you find that you are too anxious to avoid situations, for example, to avoid getting out of your house, as much as we are saying when you wear a mask and keep distance and wash your hands or sanitize, one could even jog or walk. You will find people who are immobilized and they don't want to get out of their house. They avoid these situations. So when you find that you're getting panic attacks, or generally you're worried about what we call general anxiety, things to do with everyday life. You worry about your children, whether they are safe. You worry about your finances. You worry about your other loved ones. You worry about whether you've contracted the disease. So that is generalized anxiety disorder. And apart from anxiety, somebody could discover that they are getting extremely sad most of the time for a period of for a continuous period. Some people could lack sleep. Some people could notice that their appetite is decreasing, or in some cases, there is stress eating where they find their appetite is increasing. So basically, we look at how does somebody feel. Are you sad? Are you happy? Although we know there are situations like bipolar mood disorder where the mood could actually be on the higher side. Then how do you think? Like if you had been a very positive person and you discover that you're becoming negative in your thoughts, that could indicate that something is not right. And behavior, you could see somebody's behavior change. So we look at all those things and could point out to mental health problems. We know that there are other severe mental illnesses where somebody could get what we call psychosis, like they lose touch with the reality, like they could hear voices people can't hear or see things other people can't hear. And of course, there's increased substance use. And we know that dependency on substances is also a mental health problem. We know that when people are anxious or depressed, they tend to self-medicate with substances. So excessive, use of substances to cope, whether it's alcohol, whether it's smoking. We are seeing many people smoking a lot of weed. And so when you are treating them, you have to evaluate whether the anxiety or the psychosis or the depression is actually as a result of the substances, or it was there and this person started self-medicating.
Okay. And speaking about depending on substance to actually numb whatever you're going through, Edwin, this is the shoes you've walked in. You are a recovering alcoholic. How did your journey to you understanding that you were living with mental illness begin?
Thank you for the opportunity. I started around, I took my first drink in 2003, which was just casual social drinking. Over the years, it progressed up to a point in 2015. By 2015, I couldn't work or do anything in the office without alcohol. So in my drawer, desk drawer, I had some alcohol. I used alcohol to function. So at one point, it got so bad, and we have an employee assistance program at my workplace. So my wife called the HR. And actually, she told the HR, I think my husband has an alcohol problem. And the HR was in disbelief because my appraisals were good. Everything was good. She was actually, are you sure it's not a commotion you have with your husband? And it was decided that I should go and see a counselor at our health service, which I went. I actually went high. But the interesting thing, she did a cage test. A cage test is, the C stands for, do you feel the need to cut down? Do you feel angry when you drink? Do you feel guilty when people talk about your use of substances? And the E is for, do you feel the need to eye opener, yani kutoa lock? And I answered yes to all of them. And I remember her face. I remember she just looked at me and called a doctor. I had her call the doctor on her phone, and the conversation was like, are you in the office? There's a young man you need to see urgently. So from her office, I just walked to the doctor's office, and we had the same conversation. And the doctor asked me, do you think this is normal? And I just looked at him and I was like, yes, I am functioning, I am going to work, nobody's complaining, I'm okay.
Well, apart from the wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
So at that time I was given, the doctor gave me a referral to go. Actually, he told me that I'm going to get checked whether my liver is okay for a blood test or something. I never thought I'm going to rehab. I was good. So I walk into Chiromo Lane Medical Center with my documents from the doctor and all that. My employer was catering, so I really didn't have a problem. So I just walked in, and I'm ready to, you know, rolling my sleeves, you know, blood test. But after they took a lot of family history, which was, you know, to me was strange. I'm coming for a blood test. Why the family history? So the family history is done, and then they tell me, according to these letters, this documentation, you're going to be with us for a week for detox. And I threw a tantrum, but unfortunately, my case was sealed. So I was expecting to be there for a week, and I think my case was a bit bad, so I did detox for 2 weeks. And then the HR, my family, especially my wife, they were consulted. They took a lot of family history and my behavior. I was also in some counseling sessions at the time, and I was told, you're going you're going for treatment for a period of 90 days.
And this is for what exactly?
Alcohol addiction. Now, I go to rehab. The first month is denial, anger, everybody, you know. And then I think close to the last month, everybody who was in the same facility was like, man, you're too hyper. This is not normal. At your age, you have ADHD. And I was like, me, I don't know these things. I don't have a problem. So the next month, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And as the conversations continued with the doctors, and I started now opening up, depression, and it brought me back to 2011, where I had attempted suicide. And interestingly, for a very long time, I used to make fun of people who, you know, died by suicide. And I really, so it was like a shock that, Edwin, you do have anxiety, you do have ADHD, and you do have depression. And and to add on to that, you cannot drink anymore. You cannot mess around with alcohol. You cannot mess around with weed. You cannot mess around with anything.
Question, they took your family history.
Yes.
Any history in your family on mental illness?
Not per se, but there is alcoholism from my father's side. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Dr. Mutisia, is Edwin's story one that resonates with many you have seen?
Yes, it does. Especially this period where people have spent a lot of time in their houses. There's a lot of increase of alcohol intake. And we know that some people could be genetically predisposed to getting dependent on alcohol. And even those who do not get dependent, we know that alcohol affects all the organs and systems of the body. So even if you are not dependent on alcohol, you will find that liver or blood pressure or blood sugar or your lipid profile, what people call cholesterol, could actually increase. So we have seen more increase. And in fact, many people coming to us now have a problem with a substance. In addition to probably they are starting with self-medication with for anxiety or depression. But others who were on the tipping point before this epidemic have now dipped in. And as much as many people are avoiding to go to hospital, we are seeing many people have to be brought because of basically they are taking too much alcohol and their family members are getting addicted. And also use of other substances like cannabis is on the increase.
Okay, now Waremi, when we talk about anxiety, this is something you know very well because you have been diagnosed with anxiety disorder. How did we get to the diagnosis?
Okay, morning Gladys.
Morning.
So for me, my diagnosis, I was actually diagnosed in June of 2015. And what caused me to go to hospital is that I had collapsed in the office. And I was rushed to hospital, and we did all sorts of tests, and the doctors could not find anything. So for about 2 months, I was in and out of hospital, and this is because I was experiencing symptoms like severe migraines, a lot of heart palpitations. I was numb on one side of my body. I lacked concentration. So some of these symptoms had actually started presenting themselves before I was diagnosed. And I was not aware of exactly what was happening. So this was from 2008 all the way to 2015 when I was diagnosed. So with these symptoms, especially the severe migraines, I went around looking for different neurologists just to understand what is it that's going on. Initially, I thought probably I might have a tumor in my head or something, you know. So after seeing two neurologists who confirmed that I actually have depression and anxiety, so that's when I started my treatment. You have mentioned anxiety. Yes, it is very difficult. In fact, I must confess to the viewers, one of the reasons I decided to do this virtually is because I probably would have been affected because of the pressure under that. So it's difficult, but yet again, since I've had this for about 5 years, it gets better and better because I've learned some coping strategies. Like, for example, I take hibiscus tea when I'm very, very anxious, or in the evening, I take chamomile tea to calm me down, because with anxiety, you'll find that you have a lot of insomnia. So I take chamomile tea. Of course, I work out, which is very, very important for people who have mental illnesses. And of course, even just the importance of sharing with people exactly what it is that you're going through. Telling them like, look, it's a difficult day. This is how I'm feeling. And just being open with it. Because you see, sometimes if we are quiet about it, people will not understand you. If you're quiet about it and say, for example, I woke up one morning and I have a lot of anxiety and I can't attend a function, for example, it will end up affecting my friendships. But what I've decided to do is just be open with people and just tell them, look, the anxiety has taken over and I can't make it. So basically, and also I'm also on medication for the anxiety. So that has basically been my journey with this condition.
Okay, now Dr. Mutisia, listening to Edwin's story and that of Waremi, you can tell Edwin was in denial, but Waremi went on to get the treatment, and she has this whole list of how to cope with anxiety disorder. Is there something that you see as a difference between how men and women actually approach mental health?
Okay, I would say, and let me not steal, but of course we have more women seeking treatment than men. But of course, when we look at overall, depression is more common than so when we find instead of going seeking for help, one resorts in self-medicating, either by taking substances or behavioral, like some people will have multiple partners or any other behavioral way of coping. So it would be very good that whenever you discover you're not coping, or when your loved one thinks that you're not well, that the best thing would be to seek treatment rather than to try and sort it out. You'd rather see either a doctor or a psychologist or another mental health provider to tell you, no, you don't need to worry, you're okay, rather than to sit at home and the problem is worsening. Yes.
And Kerry, definitely bipolar is something that you came face to face with. How was this diagnosed?
So I had gone through an experience late 2018, and it took a toll on me. And that year was particularly rough. So I got to a place where I was like, I don't know how to handle this. And I figured my only out is suicide. And so I wrote a tweet to which people responded to. And then the day after, which I think that was on a Sunday. So the day after, one of the guys that called me on Sunday evening asked me if I was available for a session. with my current therapist. And I went, and that's how I learned that I've got bipolar type 2 disorder.
Okay, and also you had a diagnosis of depression and ADHD. Was this done at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, now when we listen to these stories, Dr. Mutisia, definitely the rate and the numbers show it that the rate of men committing suicide due to mental illness is higher than that of women. Is there an explanation to this?
Yes, studies show that more women attempt suicide, but more men succeed in suicide. We've seen higher rates of depression and severe depression leading to suicide, or we've also seen extreme changes in life where like somebody gets a pay cut or loses their job and it's an extreme reaction. And many of the time when these people are under influence of alcohol or drug, they make decisions which they would not otherwise make. And so it would be good that when you're checking on your loved one, remember we are talking about physical distancing, not social distancing. So you should actually check on your family members and friends to check whether they are okay. With technology, you can call them, you can do Zoom meetings, or you can use any other, or even WhatsApp, and get to check on your loved ones and friends. Even at work, when you see somebody struggling, link them up for care. It would be good for them to be told there's nothing to worry about, rather than to reach a stage where they feel that the only way to end the suffering. By the time somebody commits suicide, they've tried in their own knowledge to remove the pain, and they find they have reached a point where they think the pain will never go away, so they want to end the pain. So if you can show this person and link them up for care, that they can actually, this pain, this emotional pain can actually be managed, then you will save many lives. And we say suicide is preventable.
Okay, and Judy, even at your work at Basic Needs Kenya, you've worked with many mental health advocates. How important is it to have people who've walked in these shoes speak about it?
Okay, thank you for the question. So it is important, especially because 1 in 4 people will experience mental health problems in their lifetime. So, and when that happens, they are made to feel isolated, they are judged, and they are shamed because of what they are going through. It is not, and they're shamed because of what they go through. So when people who have an experience of mental health problems, they speak out their problems, and we remove the myths and misconceptions that we have harbored for a very long time. When we hear about mental health problems, we probably think about the people who are institutionalized. We think about the people who are at the marketplace. We have this saying that in every marketplace there is a mad person. So those are the images that we've had about. We have harbored for a very long time about people with mental health problems. But when these people come out and they speak about their experiences and what they have been going through for a long time, we get to understand that it is important that we give them the space that they need. They can work, they can hold jobs, they can hold relationships, they have families. Basically, it is me and you, people who are walking in the streets, who end up, who are having these problems. So if we talk about it and we bring it to the people, then we remove the isolation that comes with mental health problems.
Okay, and speaking about isolation, a lot of stigma comes with mental illness. Edwin, what's the worst you've ever had to face just because you came out to say that you have this struggle?
June 2017, there were reshuffles that were going on at the workplace, and I was to be taken to a different department, and one of the heads of that department actually came out and said, sitaki huyo mlevi kwa department yangu. In June 2017, I was 2 years sober. And actually, I was almost, it was 2 weeks to my second anniversary. So it hurt a lot. And I got so mad. But I have a very strong support system. My support system is working. So I remember I called my counselor, and he basically told me I cannot control what other people say about me. They will talk. I called my wife, same thing. I called every other mental health advocate I know who we are tight, and they told me, Edwin, welcome to the journey. People will talk. And the fact that I am very outspoken on social media, even at the workplace, in the workspace, our WhatsApp groups, I'm the one who posts things to do with mental illnesses and all that. So that has put me in a place where at times I'll get that shot. And at times I'll get to a point where other people will even look at me in the morning, and I'm a very hyper person. I take medication for it to at least manage. At times when people see I'm very excited, people just look at me, today have you taken your medication? Are you sure your medication is working? And such statements are painful, are very painful to hear. But at the same time, I've come to appreciate that people do that out of ignorance. There's a lot of ignorance out there. And I have been into a few forums where I'm speaking and I'm talking to people. And I remember at one point I went to a church, shared my story, and I gave a few pointers on how I survived. And as I was leaving, one woman came to me and told me, you don't have ADHD, let us pray for you. And I looked at her and I asked her, if I was having cancer or diabetes and I came to church, what would you do? You would actually be very quick to organize a pay bill number for me to go to India and get treatment or even get insulin if it is a diabetes. But when it is mental, when it's something that is in the mind you cannot touch, you cannot, you want to pray for me. So she looked at me, smiled, and everybody went away happy.
Okay, now, Waremi, how bad has it gotten when it comes to stigma?
Okay, for me, my first incident with stigma was, so when I was diagnosed, I had to be on a sick leave for quite a while from the office. And I actually got to find out that there was a rumor going around the office that I actually take cocaine and heroin. And that is the reason why I act the way I act, or that's the reason why I am in rehab. Because you see, what happened is initially, since I was severely depressed, I had to go into a mental health institution. I mean, that sounds very a bit like it's a stigmatized word, but it's a fact. You have to go into a mental health institution sometimes. And yeah, so I went in and a few people got to find out, and that's where now the rumor went around that I'm on cocaine and heroin. Of course, this really affected me, especially because the industry I used to work in at that time was very small. So this story can get out and also affect my chances of getting a job probably in another organization.
And that costed you your job, right?
No, it didn't cost me my job because at least my manager knew what was going on. So this was just a rumor around the people now within the office.
But you mentioned that along the way you've lost your job, you've lost some friends. Why?
Okay, so I lost my job because I was not able to, when you have depression and anxiety, there are certain symptoms that you have, as Dr. had said. There's lack of concentration, there's memory loss, there's insomnia, you're very teary. That's one of the things actually I really experienced a lot. I was very, very teary, like I was crying all the time. And then I also could not handle excessive stress. So that is basically what happened for me. And I had a very good manager back then. And we actually sat down and agreed that the best thing for me is to just resign my job and go home and recuperate. So, and then when it comes to the loss of friends, you see, of course, before I was doing quite well. I had this good job. My life was going great. So all these friends were always around me. And as soon as I felt sick, I got to now realize and know who actually my true friends are through this journey.
All right.
Yeah.
And Kyrie, you know too well that the friends are few and far between, right?
Yes.
What is your experience?
So just like Waremi, earlier that year I was working, and then when my diagnosis came out, I got a letter from the therapist. This is the psychologist who requested that I be given some time to recuperate, and when I resume work, get lighter duties. Towards the end of January of last year, I got an email telling me that that the company has decided in the interest of my health to not have me work with them any longer, and I'll be engaged on a per job basis. So that's how I ended up now not working in a structured environment. And then I went back now to freelancing. Now, when it comes to friends, there's one of two things that can happen. You can either get them or lose them. So in my case, I have lost some and gained some. At least I have, within that season, I came to see who are my closest friends and people who held me down during that time. It's people who were like, okay, you've been cooped up in the house all day, so we're going to get you out, and I just want you to have fun. That has happened to me. There are people who have been like, so do you have food to eat? Is your rent catered for? Even now, actually, during this pandemic, that has happened, because they know that the job as a photographer right now, the jobs are far and few. So they've held me down. And then there are others who thought, prior to my diagnosis, they thought that I was just a loose nut. And so when the diagnosis came out, they were like, oh yeah, the more reason now to live and part ways. And I was like, okay, if that's how you've chosen to handle the situation, okay. I remind myself that I don't hold people hostage. So if you want to leave, and it's okay. I know that mental health for many people is a scary thing to deal with, because they just don't know how to handle people when they exhibit certain symptoms towards an illness. So if, say for example, if I'm not in the mood to talk, I'm just not in the mood to talk, not because I don't like you, but that's just that day. And I don't know how long it will carry on. So there's a lack of empathy and awareness in some circles, and in other places, some people have decided, this is my friend, and I really want to understand them.
Okay.
I want to understand what they're going through, and they do their homework, and they hold you close. So to me, it's been bitter and sweet at the same time. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Now, Dr. Mutisia, how important is it, or maybe you can tell us, how far back does it set somebody with mental illness when the stigma checks in?
Yes, there's a lot of stigma when it comes to mental illnesses or mental health problems. And the stigma, it's basically because people do not understand. Many of times, like our speaker has said, he was told, no, you do not have ADHD. We are going to pray for you. So many a times when somebody has a mental illness, people don't think this is a medical issue. Just like many people do not think psychiatrists are medical and like other specialties. So you find that for us to deal with stigma, we need to do more of what Gladys is doing, get people who have lived experiences, talk about it, so that we don't look at mental health problems as the person collecting garbage on the street or as the person who has died of suicide. We need to understand, because when understand, then they will have myths and conceptions. Again, mental health problems are not infectious, so you shouldn't avoid helping somebody. And what people need to know is that it can affect any one of us, because in life is ups and downs. And you never know when you'll get an overwhelming situation which could tip you to either anxiety or depression. So you shouldn't look at somebody living with a mental illness and think it is away from you. If it doesn't affect you, it could affect your sister, it could affect your brother, it could affect your son or daughter, it could affect your uncle, it could affect your parents. And just because right now you're well, and you shouldn't look at it like it cannot affect me. Yes.
Okay. Now, Judy, in your work at Basic Needs Kenya, how do you make use or work with the mental health advocates to ensure that they stand on their own 2 feet?
Okay, at Basic Needs, Basic Rights Kenya, we have a long-standing experience or a history of running mental health projects. So we do take care of people with mental health problems and those at risk. So we understand that the youth, most of the people who have mental health problems, they start having their symptoms at around their youth. So we have programs that build their resilience, and so that they may be able to compete, or that they may be at the same point with everybody else. They may be afforded the same opportunities like everybody else. So currently we are running a 5 weeks challenge. This 5 weeks challenge is about, it lies on the 5 key areas where, just like we take care of our physical health, we eat healthy, we drink a lot of waters, we wash we clean ourselves, and we shave. It is also important that we take, mental health is as important as the physical health. So there are 5 key ways that we can be able to take care of our mental health. And we are running a 5 weeks challenge, especially because we understand that people are at home. So most people are not able to interact. People are very afraid they don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. We are in that state where some people have lost their jobs. So, and if that continues, people might end up having mental health problems. And we like to think of mental health problems as your daily life. When you wake up in the morning, are you able to take care of yourself? Are you able to maintain relationships with other people? Are you able to be productive at your workplace or in your daily life? So that is how we look at mental health. And if all these issues continue of uncertainties and all these problems that we are having, we may end up having people getting problems with their mental health. So, so that we may be able to help people think or take care of themselves now, so that they may be able to have a fresh mind to think of what they're going to do next. Whatever has happened, what are we going to do next? So we are taking people through a 5 weeks challenge that has, as I said, the 5 things. This week we are on the 3rd week already. We are connecting. So we are encouraging people to connect with each other. Connecting can mean just having a family meal, like make sure every day you have a meal with your family. It can mean taking your friend out for coffee. It can mean playing a game with friends. It can mean calling people who are away from where you are. We also, we finished last week about being active. One very important way of taking care of our mental health is being active. So being active means you can have exercise, you can go swimming, just do something. Don't just sit and do nothing. So we also have about learning. So learn new skills. You can learn how to make pancakes if you didn't know. You can learn how to play chess on the internet. Just learn something new, and we are giving people a chance to learn within the 5 weeks challenge. There is a quality rights training by WHO. It is a 5-module training that takes about 14 hours. It's certified and it is very free. So you can always find a link on our basic needs, basic rights pages. It is very important. The quality rights training is an eye-opening training that.
Which are the other two?
The other two are being mindful, and being mindful is being able to savor the moment. You know, we are always thinking about the next thing. We are always thinking about what happened before. So, but we are trying to help people to savor the moment, this moment that you are in. If you are watching TV, understand what is happening in the TV. So just savor the moment. And the last one is give. We are going to give people an opportunity to give. So giving, you can give, we like to give money. You can also give money to the people who are around you, who may be suffering. Maybe they don't have any, someone lost a job they don't have. We'll give people, you can give money, you can give your time, you can give your, even calling a friend is giving them your time.
Yeah.
So we are going to take people through the 5 weeks challenge. And the good thing is that when you finish the 5 weeks challenge, we have a beautiful hamper that you can have.
Okay, we hear you, and definitely something that makes one take their own mental health in their own hands. Now, something that everyone has talked about and touched on is a stress that comes with life. Now, job loss ranks high among stressful and traumatic events for many, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. These coping strategies will support your mental health.
Losing a job is one of the most stressful experiences that people go through in their lifetime. Among the other difficult effects of a job loss, unemployment often takes a toll on mental health. But there are ways to protect your well-being as much as possible while you're identifying next steps. After a job loss, you may feel rejected, embarrassed, and vulnerable. You might find yourself asking what you did wrong or if you could have prevented it from happening. It's common for people to experience high levels of stress and symptoms of anxiety or depression during unemployment. This is because a job loss may also represent a loss of identity, especially in cultures where people associate work with personal value, a sense of normalcy and structure, the opportunity to pursue goals and demonstrate talents, access to resources, financial or otherwise, and relationships with coworkers and other professionals. Be patient with yourself as you grieve these losses. It may help to take steps to sustain your self-esteem and sense of identity. First, recognize the factors outside of your control that may have played a role in your job loss, like issues within your organization or the economy. Focus on the future and affirm your professional identity through volunteer work or taking a class, as well as other aspects of your identity by dedicating time to hobbies, spirituality, and relationships. Be open to new roles and career paths. Expand your network. This type of flexibility and adaptability may be the key to determining your way forward. Remember to take care of yourself. Spending time in nature can lower stress levels, and exercising can not only boost your mood and self-esteem, but also help to reduce symptoms of depression. Connect with friends and family. Ask for help if you need it. Stick to a daily schedule that includes both job-seeking and restorative or fun activities. Find what makes you feel good and make time for it every day. And of course, use healthy coping strategies during your job search. Remember that rejection from potential employers is not necessarily a reflection of you, but rather a normal part of the process. Try to avoid blaming yourself, isolating from others, or relying on substance use during this time of transition. Instead, focus on how to solve problems, be proactive about your job search, and lean on your personal and professional networks. Remember, unemployment won't last forever. You can get through this. If you begin to feel unusually down, hopeless, or depressed during your search, consider reaching out to a mental health professional for help.
Tips there on how to ride the tide, especially at a time where the whole world is actually facing job losses, loss of income and reduced income also, which is bringing on stress. And as everyone has spoken about, such stresses can actually challenge your mental health. Now, Waremi and Kere, I'd like to let you go, but before I do, Waremi, I'll start with you. What would you like people to understand about mental illness and how best to support those who are living this reality?
Okay, so what I'd like to tell people out there is that having a mental illness is not a sign that you're weak. It is not a sign that you cannot manage life stresses. It just means that, like your physical body, the way you can get a mental illness is the very same way you can have mental health issues. So that should not discourage them. And also what I also recommend something else is that as soon as someone resonates with some of the symptoms, whether you've heard somewhere or you've read from somewhere, try and get the courage to see a professional as soon as possible, because the earlier you start treatment, the earlier you see a doctor, the earlier you start treatment, and the sooner your recovery. So that is one thing. And then the second thing, what I would tell people who have loved ones who have mental illnesses, that it is a very difficult journey for this person. And it is very important to try and understand the person and the condition. Do some research, speak to other people, speak to people who have experiences such as ourselves, just to get to understand exactly what this person goes through and exactly how you can help them. And then lastly, also, ask this person, when you're going through a relapse or when you're in a depressive phase, what can I do to help you? How can I get you out of that? And then that means when this person now falls sick, you actually know and understand how you will handle them until they get better.
Thank you, Waremi. And Kere, you keep saying you are a child of a village. Many have stood with you. What's your word, your parting shot?
That it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay not to let people that you're not okay. There is nothing wrong with saying, I don't feel well, I am not in the right mental space. Much like when you tell people that I have a headache, there's no one who's going to beat you for saying that I have a headache. So if you say, I feel depressed and I feel I'm just in this funk and I don't know how to get out, it is perfectly okay to say so. It is in that saying that you get help. You might be given help of two types, either A, the medication. Remember my example about the headache?
Yes.
So you might get a Panadol, which is the medication, or you might be taken to hospital because it might be a bigger problem, especially if it has persisted over a long time. So you might be taken to hospital and you might be directed now to mental health specialists who will help you come out of that funk. We're not saying, I'm not going to say that this thing is going to end tomorrow or the day after, but along the way, you're going to learn how to cope. Your story is what another person needs to gather courage and say, I'm not okay, and I feel this way, and I need help. So do not be ashamed. What you have already said, people hardly will use it against you, and so do not feel alone in your journey. And there are many resources that you can use out there to get better.
All right, Kere Kimani, Waremi Karinge, thank you so much for sharing your experiences. They are both mental health advocates, even as we talk about how to safeguard your mental health, especially in the face of this pandemic. And speaking of which, that question of the day to you is, how has this pandemic challenged your mental health? And what are you doing on a personal level to actually safeguard your mental wellness, ensuring that you safeguard your mental wellness? A lot of you speaking in to us. And I'll start off with one that, if I can have those on there. Herbert Alitsi, who says, I've always been jobless, but COVID has made things worse, because before it came, I would at least get one hassle or the other after a day or two to help pay my bills. Right now, to feed is a struggle, not to speak of paying rent, and landlords don't give a hoot. We hear you, Herbert, and empathize with you. Billy says, it's made my mental health worse. My finances and worrying about my already sick mom and granny during this time. Thank you for talking to us. And Polesana John Motif says, the pandemic has made me quit alcohol since my best joint has remained closed, thus stabilizing my mental health. Look at that, a silver lining in all this. Then Bree Mama's Girl says, no job, no salary, rent to pay, landlords are breathing fire. You need to pay. Tell me your mental health will automatically change to drinking, feeling of dying by suicide. You have no one to run to for help. Worries are everywhere. Depression sets in soon. Madare will be overwhelmed. We pray we don't get to that point, and that's why we're talking about how to safeguard your mental wellness. Now, Mustafa says, my mental health is slightly stable, but I'm worried about the unpredictable future if the vaccine is not found. Mustafa, we all hear you, and that's why we are saying we need to take up our own mental health in our own hands to ensure that we safeguard it even as we wait for this uncertain times to pass us by. Now, to something that definitely was top of mind during this past weekend, Alvin, an online sensation, went to Facebook to express his 2 cents on his life situation. This is after his house was locked down and his friend denied him access to her home. He was forced to sleep in a watchman's shack to survive the night. His video went viral, sparking different emotions within various people. Have a look.
I came home from a very long day trying to work hard and find something happen, trying to make something happen for myself. Nikakuta nyumba imefungwa na geti yangu imefungwa from the inside, singeingia. Trying to call my landlord and my landlady and the manager Daniel. Hawakuchukua simu. So I had to look for somewhere to sleep. It's like, what, 6:30. I tried to call my closest friends, 2 of them, and even them, they have their problems, and they couldn't host me. For my last resort ni hapo penye nimelala. I thought that this friend of mine could help me, and I came, and as soon as I got to her gate, akaambia guards wasikubali niingie, and but I explained to the guards what was going on, and they gave me a place to sleep for the night hapo nyuma, the room where they put their shoes and their uniform hapo. He stretched out a curtain, kanipatia duvet hapo, and I was able to lala kidogo. So ndio nimeamka. I'm shaking. I'm out here on the streets to talk about be encouraged. There is a day that comes and you can't put 2 and 2 together. And even your friends, they fail you.
Alvin Love puts across the harsh reality of the times we're living in. And I am happy to say that Alvin Gatitu, better known as Alvin Love to his fans, is actually joining us live to talk about his experience. And we are also joined by Murage Geshoki, who is also a mental health advocate. And he suffered serious clinical depression a year and a half ago. And today he makes use of his experience to encourage others. Gentlemen, thank you for for joining us. And of course, you are joining Dr. Catherine Mutisia, who is a psychiatrist, and we also have Edwin Boro, who also has lived experience with mental illness. I'll start with you, Morage. And when you look at the story that Alvin had to share, that actually touches home for you too, right?
Yeah, it does. Like I saw that, and I was, you know, I really felt it for him. Like I really got it, and I know that place that he's in. It's a difficult place, but I really commend him for really just being authentic and coming out and just bearing his soul, because that's not easy. That's the really hard part. I really believe that it really took a lot for him to get there, and I'm glad he got there because he didn't have to suffer with it inside.
And what is your story in reference to the same?
Well, as I say, I feel Alvin completely, because I've been in the same place before. For a while, you know, I was in the same place, didn't have somewhere to stay. Everything broke down. My marriage broke down. My businesses broke down. Friends just disappeared on me. So I really feel what Alvin is saying. Like I was left all alone, you know, abandoned, just to take care of, you know, just to fend on my own. And you know, that's almost 2 years ago. So I know how it feels like. It's a terrible, terrible feeling for, especially as men. We can't talk about it. We can't be seen as weak. We can't be seen as, you know, wanting help or asking for help, or, you know, especially that part of being weak. It's terrible. It really plays it really plays a lot on our psyche and on our ego. So a lot of men decide, you know, to just not talk about it. And that's the beginning of a problem.
And speaking about the beginning of a problem, this pushed you to the reality of mental illness.
Yes. When you do not have an outlet to actually speak out as a man, especially even as a woman, really, it's just as a human being, you will tend to, you know, replay a lot of those things in your head over and over again, and, you know, sink yourself deeper into thought, sink yourself deeper into despair. And just being able to speak about it really starts the healing, really helps you to understand some things, and also gives you clarity. For me, it's all about clarity. I was able to speak up, you know, to a couple of very, very close friends, and also speak up also on my FB page and just on my social media, and just talk about it. Just tell guys, this is what I was going through, this is what I'm feeling, this is what happened, and this is how I've been able to go through it. It's still something that I continuously do, and I encourage men to do. So what Alvin did was the right thing. It was very hard. I know a lot of people probably took it a different way, but who cares? You know, at the end of the day, he's going to get his healing. He's going to get his next breakthrough, and it all matters. It's all for him. It has nothing to do with anybody else. So I really commend him for that. Really commend him for his strength and authenticity. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Okay, and speaking of which, let's bring in Alvin. I mean, you were vulnerable, and we watched you bare your soul to the world as to having hit rock bottom. Alvin, why?
There is one thing that I promised myself since starting. Since going through, I mean, I've suffered anxiety attacks. I've had just problems and depression, just fighting through stuff before. And the one thing that I never quite allowed myself to do is be vulnerable enough to go or say and speak truthfully where I am. And that for me was more like I was trying to pretend and hold up a face and hold up a fallacy or a lie that was hurting me. And I mean, you can only do it for so long. And I just remember that morning waking up. I mean, the previous day was really harsh, but that morning when I woke up in that booth, I was like, you know what? I am done trying to show that I'm all right. Because when I'm not, and I've reached out for help and nothing is coming through, then I'm going to speak. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the reality of where I am, and not just accepting it. I feel like talking about it also helps you just get to that point where you say, this is where I am, this is rock bottom, and then you can pick yourself up from there. Because if you keep that face going, or the fallacy of you're doing okay, then who are you lying to? who are you lying to?
Okay, and Edwin, definitely, these are men who are speaking a story that you walked in and the shoes that you wear even today. As you advocate about mental wellness, what are you seeing amongst men that is normally the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge for men is being vulnerable. And not being vulnerable only, but being vulnerable to the right people. Because you can be vulnerable, yes, but the people you're being vulnerable to don't give a hoot. And I applaud Alvan for that, because even if you watch that clip, you will see that he's, yes, articulating what he's going through, but at the same time, he managed to make some of us laugh. You get? That is the soul of a person who has accepted his reality, somebody who is willing to be vulnerable, because he's telling you, I'm going through this, but be encouraged. You get? And that is just amazing. Now we need more men to come out and reach out. Even if you reach out to a person privately, you know, just be vulnerable. Like I be vulnerable to you today and I tell you, okay, today I'm going hungry. You get? Today this is happening, this is happening. You get? It doesn't mean that not everybody can be Alvan, can go, you know, on social media. Yes. You get? But there are those people you can be vulnerable to. And that is the issue we have as men, because we have been taught you need to, you know, man up. It is okay to man up. But as you're manning up, make sure that you're not manning up and messing everything around you, including yourself. Okay. Because you man up, you keep quiet, you bottle a lot of stuff inside, and then the next thing you think of is, I have done the best I could, I need to get out of this life. And that is also fueled by stigma, because the minute you be vulnerable, people are going to start talking. Yes. They are going to people who are going to be negative about it. And I always tell people, stigma of any kind decreases access to quality care. If Alvan didn't talk yesterday, what happened, what has been happening wouldn't have happened. You get? He has received overwhelming support. Yes. You get? And at the end of the day, I choose to look at it from, one person will say yes, one person will say no. What do I have to lose? I'm at the end of my road. So let me just ask for help. Let me just shout out. But now Alvin did us one better. Yeah. He managed to speak up, and at the same time, if you look at that video, he managed to make some of us laugh. Be encouraged. There's a time he said, show the rail. Yeah. I mean, you just remember his clips from that, and you know, this guy is going through tough times, but he's still manning up to the point of he's encouraging his fellow brothers. So I think being vulnerable is not bad. It's okay to be vulnerable to the right people, and you go from there.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Dr. Mutisia, vulnerability comes with acceptability. Talk about this and why it is important when it comes to treatment and coping with your mental health.
Yes, it is very important for somebody to seek out care for their own mental health needs. And this could start by opening up to your loved ones, maybe family members, or maybe friends, or maybe colleagues at work. That's where it begins. And for those of us who find somebody reaching out to us, it's very important to give them like, if somebody comes to you and tells you they were planning to end, the first thing you need to do is to remove the means. So like if there was a poison they had bought, or a rope, or whatever means they were to use, remove that, and then link them up, calm them down, tell them it's okay, and that you're going to have help. You may never understand what they're feeling, but you reassure them. As much as you may not understand what they're feeling, everything will be okay, and you will be able to seek help. We know that many people think mental health needs is equal to madness, or is equal to collecting garbage in the streets. That's one of the severe mental illnesses. And again, it can affect any one of us or any one of our family members. So let's care, let's connect, and let's help those who need help. we link them up to care. Depending on wherever you are, many hospitals can link you up. I know many people are afraid to go to hospitals because they think they'll contract COVID-19. The hospitals are okay, clinics are okay to visit, so don't suffer in silence.
Okay, and Judy, even as you do your work on the ground, meeting different people, how much more is it difficult to reach men?
Well, men are a bit difficult to reach, especially because of, again, the way we have been cultured. They are the go-to people. When everything is wrong, we expect a man to step up and do something. So sometimes it is not that easy. They have a mind or a brain like everyone else's, and they do have their uncertainties. And it is important that you also learn about resilience, that the ability to feel vulnerable and process your whatever is going through is important, because at the end of the day it helps you to understand your strengths, to understand your weaknesses, and also to plan the next course of action. I think what the Shederia guy did is a good thing, because he's going to be able to understand the next steps that he needs to take, and that is something that I believe that every person, man and woman, we need to have.
Okay, and Morage, when we talk about the fact that you can control how you react to the world, but cannot control how the world reacts to you, what are your coping mechanisms, especially during this pandemic?
Well, I use different coping mechanisms. One, just to be able to cope, I try and keep away toxic people completely from my life. I do not entertain, there's no exception. Anybody who's toxic, out you go. Like, I do not give I have zero chills for it, zero regrets. I also work out a bit. I work out quite a bit to, just to help to keep my mind sane. At the same time, listen to music, of course, and get to work, and get myself productive. Do productive things, things that are going to help me build my career, build my work, build clients. That's what I just really immerse myself in work. When I feel like, it's a bit hard, I take a break. I take a break away. I shut down social media. I just go under, whether it's for an hour, whether it's for 2 days. I just take my chill pill and just relax. I've just found a way to be able to deal with it better. I don't entertain any kind of strife, condemnation, criticism, especially when it's coming from a bad place. I just shut it out, because I know what that can do. And I've seen a lot, especially as a man. A lot of the times we are not expected to, we are expected to stand up and always be, the person, the go-to person, like she said. But we are not. We're not robots. We need service also. We need time off. We need time to be able to get our things together. We need our peace. So even as I continue to learn what to do and how to be able to, just lead my life, I make very conscious decisions, and I decide. For me, deciding means when I decide something. The word decide from Latin comes from the word cut off. Decide means to cut off. So when I decide that I'm cutting off a couple of things that are not helping me in my mental space, it's done. I don't think about it twice. I just cut off and I move, because I know that's what's going to give me peace. So I really use that.
Okay. Now, Alvin, definitely many, whether in the studio, in the gallery, they're saying you make them laugh. Those videos on your Instagram social spaces, it was a shocker to actually hear the Shederil is now the one saying, I'm on my knees. Was that a coping mechanism?
Yes. Yes and no. Because I have, my family will tell you that if we're going to go for a family trip or just, random drive going somewhere, I'm going to be the guy who talks nonstop, just starting stories from nowhere and making them into something. And I seem to, I've been told that I have a sense of humor that I couldn't trust. But at the same time, just allowing myself to let that rise or grow in me and get into that space where I can just use some of the experiences I've had in my life to mirror what is going on in society and putting it in a humorous way. I felt like I was adding value. And so I didn't feel like I was like my life was absolutely nothing or it was too hard. I felt like I was adding value in society, and for that reason I felt like, you know what, I can still go on. And literally I would wake up in the morning and, you know, without even thinking, a very fundamental subject would come to my mind about probably, you know, people who are so busy looking into other people's lives because maybe theirs is not really going that well. And that's where I got the word show the real from. And, you know, there and for that reason, you know, I just found I have a way of just twisting words in my head and making like Kui words sound like English words. And there came the show the real joke. Okay. And a lot of people connected with it. So just adding value into society helped me feel like, you know what, it's not too bad. I'm still here and I'll be all right.
Okay, and speaking of which, as we prepare for the president's message today on whether he will lift curfews and open up the borders, here's something to make you laugh from the yours truly, Alvin.
President, thank you kwa vile umefanya, sababu ile sherehe ilikuwa inaenda kupigwa leo. Tukiamka kesho na 30 millions infections, so wacha tuchukue hiyo 30 yako.
President, niko nje, saa hizi ni 7:45. Sikumbuki the last time niliona giza. I feel vulnerable. What are this?
Alvin, you have made many smile, and that why it was so encouraging to actually come and see you show your vulnerable side and show that life happens to all. Now, we'll come back to that in just a moment. For now, I'd like to take some feedback. A lot of you talking to us, even as we try to understand how this season has challenged our mental health and how we're taking up that challenge to safeguard our mental wellness. Claire Nyangi says, my kids' education is giving me high blood pressure. Claire, you are amongst many parents who are going through a tough time at this time. Ben, who says, being separate from my family is mentally burdensome. And yes, many were locked away from their loved ones. Nyaruanesi says, I've been reading a lot since lockdown started, but I have also been addicted to social media. Sounds like a sweet and sour moment for you there. Commander Peter says, I need anger management sessions. I hear you, Commander. There's a lot in life to be angry about, but as the speaker said, you can also find the positive in life. Hedwig Shikanga says, mental health a disaster since my spouse is locked up in Nairobi and I'm in Shag since March. Marriages are at the verge of breaking. This is also another reality. And we have Ondari, who says, worry not of tomorrow. The Bible says, and that is how I just live stress-free, knowing that there is an Almighty. A very positive way to look at life, even as we face so much uncertainty. And when we come back, let's talk about how we can really cope about this and rising above societal expectations. Stay with us. Yes, you do make a difference. Even when life is challenging and you feel like you mean nothing to everyone, there's somebody somewhere who is here and thriving because you exist. So don't give up. And that's why we're taking time to take stock of our mental health. And I have such a great panel this morning, being vulnerable and also helping us walk this talk. And speaking of which, Alvin, I'll go back to you. Many saying thank you so much for coming through and being vulnerable, but also as somebody who is of public interest, it must really be a pressure-filled life to live a certain way and not come across as weak, right?
Oh, definitely, definitely. With all of my heart, I decided, you know what, this is the end of that life for me. It's the end of putting up a face. It's the end of trying to look like I'm okay and lying to myself and bottling up stuff inside that is clearly hurting me and has hurt me in the past. Where it gets to a point where you have so many expectations and people expecting you to live and look and perform and be, I don't know, some strange thing for some certain way. And you keep going up and like you keep trying to match up to those standards, and it just hurts you and it hurts you and it hurts you some more. And then you accumulate more stuff, and then you're more hurt, and then you're more depressed. And soon enough, someone that was probably jolly and looking wonderful yesterday, tomorrow in a second they're gone because they're probably, I mean, they probably just took some drugs and they were like, you want, I'm done with this. Because I mean, you accumulate a lie long enough, that thing is going to kill you.
I hear you. And Morage, just listening to Alvin, this is a reality for many, and especially for men, with all the expectation of kangumu.
That kangumu is so toxic. It's terrible. It's like telling people man up. It's the worst thing you can ever tell someone who's going through a hard time. That kangumu is the worst thing you can ever tell someone who's, you know, really struggling and just needs help, just needs help out, you know. I really find it's a very weak way of answering someone if you tell someone kangumu or you tell them to man up. It's so weak as a human being. You shouldn't even offer them help if you're going to say something like that. However, I really believe that yes, at some point, yes, you've got to be able also to personally inside, you've got to be able to master enough strength to be able to move from where you are to where you want to go. However, it also needs people to help you. And that's why we're here. As human beings, we're here to be able to help each other, to be kind and loving and to be caring. And I'm really, like yesterday, I was really moved at what guys did for Alvan. I was so moved. That's what that's what being a human is, you know? Telling someone to man up, telling someone to kangumu, you know, utakuwa poa, it is well. I just find that stuff, it doesn't make sense to someone who's really struggling at that point.
Okay.
Just my thoughts, yeah.
All right. And Edwin, asking for help is not an easy thing.
Yes, it is not. But I have come to a place where at times I struggle and things are thick and I need to ask for help. It is not usually easy because, like, personally for me, I have made a certain, you know, people who are close to me now have a certain picture that now I'm stable. I'm the one they call when their son or their daughter is acting up, so that I tell them where to go for help. So at times, things are thick, and naturally for me, or mostly at that stage, you would want to, you know, I'm going to be strong, but at times you can't. And that is when I realized, I have come to a place where I know I'm going down, I need to reach out. And I also know who to reach out for what. So when there's a time I would be feeling as if I'm sinking into some form of depression, I'm starting to feel low, so that time I'll reach out to a counselor. I have them on speed dial. They are my friends because I know that this thing can come back anytime. When I feel that things are thick and I see the thought of alcohol is coming back to my mind, either because I have seen people relaxing at Jogonas as I'm driving home and things are tough, and then I remember my days and I'm like, I should take one. Immediately, there's a day I parked my car just hapo karibu and I called my counselor and I had a conversation because I know the minute I sleep, I'm done. I've been sober for 5 years, 12 days, 1,839 days.
Well done. And
thank you. And to maintain that, it has gotten me to a point where I know that I need to be vulnerable. So I'll call person A and tell them things are thick. Okay? There are two things that work. If you know, by the time you are diagnosed with any mental illness or any condition, two things that have worked for me is self-awareness and self-acceptance. Self-awareness in that I know what ADHD is, I know alcoholism and how it interacts with my system and all my conditions. I have done a lot of research. I have read, I still read, and I still research. That is self-awareness. Self-acceptance. I have accepted that when I wake up in the morning, I need to take my medication for ADHD. Because if I have not taken that medication, Gladys, we would not be having this conversation. I have the concentration span of a 2-year-old. You get? I can't drive well at that time, so I'll probably cause an accident. You get? So that is self-awareness. I know that I am feeling low, so today, after I'm done with everything, I'm calling my counselor. Better yet, if things are really thick, let me go and see my psychologist, my psychiatrist. If there is a change in my medication is acting up, I need a review. Now that is self-awareness. Now, unfortunately, those two things, nobody can do them for you.
Oh, yeah.
You have to do them for yourself. You have to realize things are thick, I need to do this. And now, when it gets to, you know things are thick, now you need to look for positive coping mechanisms. Because I can say things are thick and then run to a bar. That is not positive. You get? So you need to also know which are the coping mechanisms that work for me. Because the treatment of mental illnesses or mental health conditions, as the Daktari will confirm, it is not a one size fits all. You get? We may have the same condition, but you are given different medication, or you are given medication that is of a higher dose. Like for me, I know people who have severe ADHD, but they are on 20 milligrams of what I am on, but me, I'm on 80 milligrams.
Wow, okay.
So that is what works for me.
Okay.
You get? And now I have to accept that, such that when we meet with you and we are discussing meds, I will not feel bad that we have the same condition and start wondering and start questioning my doctor, because I know that things can get thick. But that does not mean that you do not engage your doctor. Me, I have very candid conversations with my doctors and my therapist. I do have, at times I even call them, do I really need to take medications? I'm okay. It's been 5 years. And then we go back, and then there's a simple question they always ask me. Edwin, by your own admission, when you have not taken medication for 3 days, what happens? I am a mess.
And
I am a
right
mess.
there brings back to reality.
So I accept that and I continue medication. I also have a very strong support system. My wife knows my medication. She understands how it interacts with me. So does my siblings and my family. You get? So like today in the morning when I was preparing, my wife made sure that, sweetheart, ukumbuke ukunywe dawa.
So that we can have this conversation.
Yes. So she put the
Okay.
pill there
Yeah.
with my breakfast. So after breakfast, and I came to. You get?
Very well
Yeah.
said. Self-awareness, very important. And across the borders, Scottish police on Friday shot dead a suspect in a multiple stabbing at a Glasgow hotel housing asylum seekers that wounded 6 people, including an officer. Asylum seekers staying in refugee accommodation in Glasgow were complaining of severe depression and suicidal thoughts, according to human rights activist, that is Robina Qureshi, ahead of a knife attack in which 6 people were wounded and the suspect was shot dead Friday. Qureshi, Executive Director, Positive Action Scotland, said she wasn't surprised about the attack and that the situation drove a person to take reprehensible actions, but actions that possibly could have been avoided.
So they had no money whatsoever. They were effectively told to stay inside their hotels throughout this pandemic. And that was 3 months now that's been going on. And so they were left in those conditions, and the number of cases of people saying that they were suicidal or expressing thoughts of suicide or suffering severe depression as a result of this lockdown had rocketed. When I realised it was a hotel where there's vulnerable people, asylum seekers in that hotel, I was not surprised. I thought somebody's lost it. That was my first thinking. Either it's a far right thing or somebody's lost it, and it seems that the latter was true, that somebody had lost their mental capacity. And all the information we're getting just now is that that's what happened, and it drove that person to take reprehensible actions, but actions that possibly could have been avoided.
Clearly something that is affecting the whole world. Now, as people around the world self-isolate because of COVID-19, factors like anxiety, a lack of social interaction or outdoor time, and economic stresses can lead to mental health challenges. While everyone's circumstances vary and people are experiencing this global pandemic in different ways, many have found relief using various approaches.
My name is Danielle Lambert, and I am the Behavioral Health Manager here at Englewood Health. It is so important for us to keep a regular schedule. We should be waking up at the same time in the morning and going to sleep at the same time in the evening. Sleep is so important for all of us, not only for our physical well-being, but also for our emotional wellness. Recommendations are for people to get a minimum of 8 hours to sleep, and some people even need more than that. Make sure you're taking care of yourselves by eating healthy, getting some exercise, and getting outside when the weather is nice. Exercise is not only important for your physical well-being, but for your emotional well-being. Exercise has been shown to reduce stress and anxiety and promote overall wellness by improving your mood. Even though we're practicing social distancing right now, it is so important for all of us to stay connected. We can do this by picking up the phone or using video chat to call and check in on our family, our friends, and our neighbors. It's important to take breaks from the news and social media because that information all day long can be overwhelming for all of us.
Practical steps for you to cope during this time, and as we continue to talk about safeguarding our mental health. Now, even as we wrap up this conversation, I'll start off with you, Judy. Even as you talk to people on ensuring that they actually take control of their mental status, what is your clarion call?
Well, I would like to say that human beings, we do not like inconveniences, but the news is that inconveniences are going to be with us forever as long as we live. So it is important that we create an atmosphere where instead of stigmatizing, isolating and judging people, it is important that we create an atmosphere where people can be able to interact, talk to each other without feeling like they do not belong to the community that we are at. So conversations, they change lives, and I invite everybody to join in our 5 weeks challenge, Basic Needs, Basic Rights Kenya. Okay, well said. Dr. Mutisia, you see so many people walk through your doors seeking help, but there's some who do not do so because of stigma or one thing or the other. What would you like to put out there?
I would like everybody to be aware of their feelings and their emotions. A lot of time we are on the go and we want to move to the next activity without being mindful of where we are at that particular time. So listen to yourself, listen to how you feel, and keep journaling how you feel and what is triggering that thought. And when things get overwhelming, like when you find you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you're sad most of the time, you're anxious to the extent that your family life or social interactions are affected. Like I've had people who have stopped answering phone calls for family members. That could be a telltale sign that something is not well. And so when you find yourself overwhelmed by any of that, or probably your loved ones tell you that your behavior has changed, you need to seek help. Go to the nearest either mental health provider, whether it's a counselor, psychologist, a doctor, or even in the rural setup, go to the nearest health center. They'll be able to link you up, give you a first aid, and link you up for care.
Thank you, Dr. Ari. And Morage, stress is one thing that clearly can push us to our end. A mental illness could be what you face at that end. Your clarion call.
I'd like to tell people who, especially men who are going through hard times, it's okay to reach out. Don't reach out to people who you don't trust. Reach out to people who trust you or who you can trust. A doctor. I walked into a hospital and I saw a doctor that changed my life. Reach out to people who are close to your relatives, your friends. Don't go through that stress alone. Reach out to people, specific people who care about you, and make sure that they're people you can trust. I'll also speak to the people who out there. I've had a lot of people say, no one knows you anything. You don't owe anyone anything, and the world doesn't owe you anything. I'll tell those people, if you say that you're most probably a narcissist, it's time to start being human, being kind, being caring, being loving, understand where people are coming from, and don't be me. Just be a human. That's my clarion call.
Okay, Alvin, your experience clearly put to test some of your friendships, and this is a reality for many of us at this time. What are your parting shots?
My parting shot is, so COVID has come or is here, and it's a thing that has brought a lot of the structures and things that were going on in the world down. And it has forced the world to somehow reset. Even nature in itself is obeying that reset. We're seeing better weather conditions. We're seeing, I mean, the air is cleaner. So I think it would be an absolute loss that a pandemic like this would come and you will remain the same person tomorrow. If this is the time when everything, including your friends and the things that you thought or held so dear to you that were not really, this is the time they're going to be tested. Make sure that you come out of it and you come out a winner. Let's reset together. As the world resets, let your soul, let's all be cleansed. Let's be new people so that tomorrow we'll remember this and look back and say, I'm glad I went through that because I'm a better person.
Well said. And Edwin, I'd like you to drum that point home. It is okay not to be okay.
Yes, I want to say this. Statistics, 1 in 4 people will go through a mental health problem in their lives. That is statistics. That speaks to one thing. Mental illnesses are common. We are the ones who are in this fog that it's either a curse from the God, your last name has been that in the family, so we leave it to be. You get? These things are common. They are here. The interesting thing and the most profound thing, they are sicknesses. They are not curses. They are sicknesses. So let's stop the stigma. Take me to hospital. Do not take me to shrines and all that. Take me to hospital, please. I have depression. Take me to hospital. I have an addiction problem. Take me to hospital. Look at me. You wouldn't have liked to see me. I was 40 kgs when I was going to rehab. 70% of my liver was failing. Now, I'm telling people that mental health conditions are here. They are real. They are common. They are sicknesses that can be addressed in hospitals. So, stigma decreases access to quality care. When you stigmatize that person, they will not be able to ask for help. If you really need to do something, then keep quiet. Don't say anything. You get? Because one word, I have realized the power of words. There is a word that you can say to me or I can say to somebody else and it will mess their lives. So be very careful. The power of the tongue is very powerful. Be supportive, be kind, be mindful. I'm part of that 5-week challenge. And these are the things we are telling people. So be there for each other. It is as simple as that. Okay? Stigma decreases access to care. Let's stop the stigma. Mental illnesses are real. Thank you.
Very, very well said. And to all my guests this morning, even as we address mental wellness and mental health, thank you so much for joining us and being candid on this very, very, very crucial conversation and something that we shall keep on engaging on because it is part and parcel of our lives. Now, you are still talking to us even as we asked you on our question of the day how this pandemic has impacted your mental health and how you're safeguarding your mental wellness during this time. And I am told there are a few that I need to look at before I bid you farewell. Obi Michael says, personally, my mental health comes first, followed by the rest of the health. Yes, we said it should be at the top of your Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Isaac Mwaweo says it's the high time we get things right. No health without mental health. Stress, anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, suicide, etc. are causing more casualties than COVID-19. A patient being managed for DM, HTN, ECRD needs my service as a psychotherapist to progress well. It is a reality. Micah Dakambarikiwa says, worth watching. It's not easy for men to air and share what they go through until it hits them hard. Very true. Mutua Elijah says, my wife got locked up in Nairobi. I got locked up in Meru. Children are at Muranga. This is affecting me. Oh, wow. We hear you, Mutua. Shikwekwe says, we put emphasis on corona and forgot mental health. People are now more stressed than ever. Yes, that is a reality. And then we have Otieno here who says, the government is just keen on testing and giving results on COVID-19 and forgetting to enlighten its citizenry on how to deal with mental health. And that's why we're having such conversations. John Motive says, the pandemic has made me quit alcohol since my best joint has remained closed. That's stabilizing my mental health. We're repeating this again because there is a silver lining in all this. And Enoch says, interesting and educative show on mental health. Keep up the good job. Thank you for watching. And he's watching all the way from Eldoret. Michael says, actually pretending to be okay when you're not is very toxic. Agreed, Michael, and that has been emphasized by everyone who spoke to us this morning. Again, I thank you for all who joined us this morning and thank you for engaging with us. Let's keep this conversation going on our social media handles. And as I bid you goodbye, you may not always have a comfortable life and you will not always be able to solve all of the world's problems at once, but don't ever underestimate the importance you can have, because history has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own. That is a quote by Michelle Obama, and it's something that I pray that you can hang on to even when you face the darkest of times. My name is Gladys Gashanja. Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow we take on a conversation to do with the changing world of work, careers and business. A lot has shifted, so how do you ride the tide? Join us then.